Hello and welcome back to my channel. Thank you for being here. Today, just wanted to do a quick check-in with our baby birds. Our baby birds are starting to look like adults a little bit. They've gotten past that awkward teenage stage. They've got their feathers and their colors are coming in. Now our Cochin chickens are hatched with feathered feet, so that's not unusual to see. But what you can see is that their feathers have really come in and their little footsies, whoops, are starting to become true feathered feet. They're perching. We've got some turkey looking like gangly teenagers standing on the perch. The chickens are starting to perch. With the chickens, I'm having some guesses as to who's a rooster and who's a hen. And that's based on comb development. So I see a couple of my darker and more black ones are probably going to be roosters. I don't know if you can see that, but see how his comb, the comb is the part on top of their beak and on their head, is much more pronounced than the one that's sitting here on the perch. So she is probably a hen. He is most likely a rooster. And, you know, when I hatch for myself even, it's luck of the draw. I get what I get, and I have to deal with that. So, you know, there's always an abundance of roosters that has to be managed, ideally through selling. But one of the reasons, stop guys, you guys are going to fall out of there. One of the reasons I picked this breed, the Bantam Cochin, is because I can have many more roosters than you would expect without them harming the hens. They do not overbreed the hens. They do not get too aggressive, although right now they're really showing someone, you know, one or two of them are really showing that they're trying to be roosters. And at this age, it's really cute, right? They're like little ping pong balls bouncing around. And they're not hurting each other. They're just, you know, they're exploring what's happening as they develop, as they grow. So the ones that are, you know, acting like big men on campus are very likely big men on campus. The turkey, on the other hand, I have no idea what they're going to be, male, female. They're still many, many months away from me being able to figure that out. Chicken, I can tell a little bit sooner. So that's just a quick check-in with the birds. These guys are probably about a week or two away from moving to the outdoor pen, which should be the ideal time. You can hear my guinea yelling at me to let the guineas loose. They're so funny. They work in such a, there's such a pack. Pack's not the right word. They're a flock, but they work in a flock dynamic that makes, you know, every move they do is in sync with each other. And we'll go see them in a second. But my little gosling, yeah, so in the next 2 or 3 weeks when I let the baby birds out into this pen, right, so they start to get no heat lamp exposure to the temperatures, to the weather, the gosling will likely still not be ready to move into my adult flock. He or she is getting his feathers. I'm going to call it a him because I just don't know, and that's just my instinct. All birds are hims for whatever reason. And so while I'm waiting for the gosling to fully feather out and get to a point that it's mature enough to be able to move into our breeding flock, I want to keep friends with them, right? So it's having the guineas now was a perfect time because I knew that the chicks would be several weeks away from being able to move outside. But the chicks are now, I'm going to call it 2 weeks away from moving outside. And the guinea at that point will have been with us for about almost 4 weeks. And 4 weeks in this pen should be enough to establish this as home base so that when we let them free range, They will likely roost in the trees and spend the night in the trees because that is their instinct, that's nature, but they should come back to this area for food, for water, for anything they feel that they need. Of course, during the summer months and most of the months, they're going to forage out in the wild. They're going to eat bugs. They're not going to come back for much food for me at all, but it will be there for them should they need it. You can see our gosling is getting some wing feathers and has changed quite a bit since the last time you saw him, right? But still not nearly feathered out to a point where I would put them in with the big flock just yet, right? Goslings mature slow. They take a long time. And so even though he's a big galoomp right now, he's not ready to be in with the adults. His fuzz is looking raggedy. I don't know if you can see it. Hi, buddy. Because his feathers are going to start to come in, right? So he's changing. He's got pin feathers on his wings. There's your daily treat of the guinea alarms. It may be annoying, but I love it. I don't know why, I just do. Now, one other thing that you may be noticing is the gosling continues to sort of drop his wings, right? And he keeps repositioning them. Again, I'm calling it a he, I don't know. But he keeps repositioning his wings as they kind of slide down his back. And the reason he's doing that, or the reason it's happening, is as those feathers come in order to grow, they're full of blood, they're heavy, they are covered in a sheath, right, before they open up to an actual feather, which weighs more than the feather. So his wings right now, because they're feathering out, are heavy. And that's a good thing. It's actually building his strength to hold his wings up, to learn how to not fly because these birds can't fly, but to learn how to use his wings and his musculature. And again, all the right things happening in the development process of this guy. His tail feathers are starting to come in too, so he's really looking goofy. But that's really it, for these guys. The guinea, what's changed? You didn't see them as little ones because we got them as, mature. They're not fully mature, but mature-er birds. So their coloration is, this is what they're going to look like. But what's changed is their heads. Their heads have gotten the blue coloration that they're supposed to have. Their wattles, the things that dangle under their beaks, are starting to become red, which is what they will be. They will be bright red. And that's why I know that another week or two, and they'll be fully ready to head out into the wild to do what they're supposed to do, which is eat all the ticks on the property. And fingers crossed, they'll get that done. So it's a quick check-in with our birdie friends. I hope that wherever you are in the world, you're having a fabulous day. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. Be kind. And thanks for being a part of my community. We'll see you at the next one. Bye for now.